What if the true power of the Vatican lies not in its sacred halls, but in the silent hands that guide its course? When Pope Leo XIV ascended to the chair of St. Peter in 2025, the ancient walls of Vatican City whispered of change, not in the gilded architecture or the timeless liturgy, but in the minds and hearts of those who surround the pontiff, shaping the Church's path through a fractured world. Who are the unseen architects behind the Holy See's most pivotal decisions? The figures whose influence echoes far beyond the public eye. From the quiet strategists weaving diplomatic threads to the prophetic voice igniting global faith, these 7 leaders under Pope Leo XIV form a sacred symphony, each playing a vital role in the Church's mission to navigate modernity while rooted in eternity. Will you peer into the shadows of the Vatican to uncover the pillars upholding this new papacy and reflect on the unseen forces shaping your own spiritual journey? In the heart of Vatican City, where prayer and power intertwine, 7 extraordinary individuals stand as the backbone of Pope Leo XIV's reign, their quiet influence a testament to the enduring strength of faith in a changing world. Through their stories, we glimpse the divine orchestration of a church that remains a beacon of hope amidst the fires of modernity. The golden light of dawn filters through the stained glass windows of St. Peter's Basilica, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the marble floors, their hues dancing like whispers of heaven's grace. The air carries the faint scent of incense and polished stone, a quiet reminder of the centuries of prayer that have filled this sacred space, a sanctuary where the eternal meets the temporal, where the voice of God speaks through the hands of his chosen shepherds. When Pope Leo XIV ascended to the chair of St. Peter in 2025, the first American-born pontiff to bear the fisherman's ring, the world watched in anticipation, expecting grand gestures or sweeping reforms to mark the dawn of his papacy. But the true change was not in the architecture of the Vatican, nor in the ancient texts of its liturgy. It was in the individuals who surrounded him, a constellation of leaders whose quiet influence would shape the Church's path through a fractured world. The scent of the incense, warm and sacred, lingers in the air as the faithful gather in the square below their voices, rising in a chorus of hope, a testament to the enduring power of faith in a world that hungers for light. Who are the unseen architects behind the Holy See's most pivotal decisions? The figures whose influence echoes far beyond the public eye, shaping the Church's mission in an age of uncertainty. What does it mean to lead in the shadows to bear the weight of the Church's future with a quiet strength that few will ever see? As the psalmist declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," Psalm 23. 1. What might happen if you trusted the Lord to shepherd your own path, guided by the unseen hand of those who lead with faith and wisdom? The first of these pillars, ranking 7th in our list, is Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the quiet strategist whose influence is a steady undercurrent beneath the Vatican's turbulent waters, a man often called the Shadow Pope, not for his ambition, but for the depth of his wisdom. The air in the Apostolic Palace might carry the scent of old parchment and the faint echo of whispered counsels as Cardinal Parolin moves through its halls. His presence a quiet force that steadies the Church in times of uncertainty. His mind a map of global Catholicism etched with the precision of a master diplomat. For over a decade, he has served as the Vatican's Secretary of State, navigating the delicate threads of international relations, brokering secret agreements with China's bishops, mediating with Russian ambassadors, and forging fragile alliances where the Church's moral weight hangs in the balance. Under Pope Leo XIV, Parolin's role is not merely to continue, but to anchor, ensuring the new papacy remains rooted in continuity while facing the storms of a modern world. His counsel, a lighthouse, guiding the pontiff through uncharted seas. The scent of the parchment, old and musty, might linger in the air as he drafts letters to the United Nations. His words a bridge between the eternal and the temporal, a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring presence in a world that often forgets its voice. What does it mean to lead with a wisdom that few will ever see, to steady the course of a sacred mission through the storms of a fractured world? How might your own path be steadied if you sought the quiet wisdom of those who guide from the shadows, trusting in the unseen hands that shape the future? Next at number 6 is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the soul of evangelization and the radiant face of a truly global Church, a man whose tears and vulnerability have made him a beloved voice of Christ's love in a world that hungers for hope. The air in a small Philippine village might carry the scent of jasmine in the quiet murmur of prayer as Cardinal Tagle kneels beside a family, his voice a gentle whisper as he shares their suffering, his tears mingling with theirs, a testament to the Church's mission in the Global South. Born in the Philippines, shaped by humility, and trained in the finest schools of Rome, Tagle bridges the academic and the apostolic, his role as prefect of the dicastery for evangelization, a sacred calling to bring the gospel to unreached regions, where the name of Christ is still a whisper, not yet a song. Under Pope Leo XIV, Tagle's influence deepens his presence at the papal inauguration, placing the fisherman's ring on the pontiff's hand, a moment thick with symbolic approval, a prophetic voice for a missionary church that seeks to renew the world with the fire of faith. The scent of the jasmine, sweet and fragrant, might linger in the air as he preaches his words, a bridge between continents. His vulnerability, a mirror of Christ's own love, a love that makes global suffering personal, a love that ignites the hearts of the faithful. What does it mean to lead with a heart that weeps for the suffering of others, to bear the soul of a missionary church in a world that hungers for hope? As the Apostle Paul declares, we are ambassadors for Christ God, making his appeal through us. 2 Corinthians 5:20. What might happen if you became an ambassador of Christ's love, sharing the hope of the gospel with a world in need? At number 5 stands Archbishop Paul Gallagher, the Vatican's diplomatic sentinel in a fractured world, a man whose voice carries the weight of eternal values into the halls of power, where peace and war are decided with a single word. The air in a high-level meeting room might carry the scent of polished wood and the faint hum of tension as Archbishop Gallagher enters his presence, a quiet force that commands attention. His words, a precise instrument of diplomacy, representing the Church in a world addicted to immediacy. As Secretary for Relations with States, Gallagher is the Vatican's chief diplomat, tasked with the impossible mission of speaking for a church with no armies, no borders, yet a voice that echoes in every room where the fate of nations is decided, a voice that reminds the world of a conscience it has often forgotten. Under Pope Leo XIV, his role grows heavier, navigating a world polarized by ideology, broken by war, and cynical toward religion. His recent meetings with U.S. leaders signaling a strategic shift, a Vatican ready to engage not just spiritually, but geopolitically, with a voice that cannot be dismissed. The scent of the wood, polished and ancient, might linger in the air as he drafts language so precise that entire governments pause. His presence, a bridge between the eternal and the temporal, a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring mission to speak truth to power. What does it mean to speak for eternal values in a world that races toward immediacy, to remind the powerful of a conscience they have forgotten? How might your own voice speak if you dared to bear the weight of truth in a world that often turns away from its light? At number 4 is Sister Raffaella Petrini, the hidden hand managing the Vatican's inner workings, a woman whose quiet authority has reshaped the heart of the Holy See, proving that competence, not color, defines true leadership. The air in the Vatican's administrative offices might carry the scent of fresh ink and the faint echo of footsteps as Sister Petrini moves through the marble halls. Her religious habit, a quiet contrast to the red robes of the cardinals, her presence a testament to the power of service over status. As Secretary General of the Governorate of Vatican City-State, she oversees everything from budgets to buildings, from employee conduct to legal structures, a role that places her at the heart of the Vatican's day-to-day operations, ensuring that the House of Peter does not fall apart amidst the storms of modernity. Initially appointed under Pope Francis, many expected her term to end with the new papacy, but Pope Leo XIV reaffirmed her post, sending a powerful message in the Church. True authority is born of competence, not tradition, a message that echoes through the halls of the Vatican, where her quiet efficiency keeps the gears of the city-state turning. The scent of the ink, sharp and clean, might linger in the air as she reviews budgets, her presence a bridge between the sacred and the practical, a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring mission to serve with humility and grace. What does it mean to lead with quiet competence, to manage the inner workings of a sacred mission with a humility that few will ever see? How might your own service reflect the humility of Christ bearing the weight of your calling with a grace that transcends recognition? At number 3 is Cardinal Czerny, the living embodiment of Catholic social teaching, a man whose life and work reflect the Church's mission to care for the least among us, a mission that Pope Leo XIV has placed at the heart of his papacy. The air in a refugee camp might carry the scent of mud and the quiet murmur of prayer as Cardinal Czerny kneels beside a displaced family. His voice a gentle whisper as he shares their suffering, his hands stained with the earth, a testament to the Church's call to stand with the forgotten. As prefect of the dicastery for promoting integral human development, Czerny oversees the Church's efforts in refugees, climate justice, labor ethics, and anti-racism work, a role that places him at the forefront of the Church's mission to care for both the truth and the poor, a mission that Pope Leo XIV has embraced with fervor. Though eligible for retirement, Czerny remains in his post, his presence a quiet firebrand, his voice speaking not as a politician or philosopher, but as someone who has wept with the marginalized, a voice that makes uncomfortable truths impossible to ignore. The scent of the mud, earthy and raw, might linger in the air as he boards a ship with migrants, his presence a bridge between the sacred and the suffering, a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring mission to love the least among us. What does it mean to embody the Church's mission to the poor? To weep with the forgotten, to bear the weight of their suffering with a love that mirrors Christ's own. As Jesus declares, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Matthew 25:40. What might happen if you loved the least among you with the same devotion, bearing their burdens with a heart full of grace? At number 2 stands Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia, the Vatican's mind in an age of biotech and artificial ethics, a man whose work bridges the ancient truths of the Church with the uncharted challenges of the modern world. The air in a Vatican conference room might carry the scent of old books and the faint hum of discussion as Archbishop Paglia speaks, his voice a quiet thunder that echoes through the room, addressing issues that not even the most ancient church councils could have imagined: genetic editing, AI consciousness, transhumanism. As head of the Pontifical Academy for Life, Paglia has opened doors to dialogue with those who oppose the Church. His approach, not one of rigidity, but of rootedness, reminding the Church that being eternal does not mean being outdated, a mission that Pope Leo XIV has embraced with a vision for the future. At 80, Paglia's tenure may soon end, but his legacy as a philosopher priest endures, his work a bridge between the sacred and the scientific, a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring mission to speak truth in a world that races forward at the speed of code. The scent of the books, old and musty, might linger in the air as he poses a question that echoes through the ages. Should we follow a question that challenges the Church to navigate the future with wisdom and faith? What does it mean to bridge the ancient in the modern, to speak truth in a world that races toward the unknown, to bear the weight of ethical questions with a faith that endures? How might your own faith guide you through the uncharted challenges of your world, speaking truth with a wisdom that transcends time? At the pinnacle, number 1, is Cardinal Mamberti, the legal mind ensuring continuity in a reforming church, a man whose knowledge of canon law and ecclesiastical tradition acts as a spine within the body of the Church, a foundation that Pope Leo XIV relies upon to build his papacy. The air in the apostolic signatura might carry the scent of parchment and the faint echo of whispered counsels as Cardinal Mamberti reviews a case, his voice a quiet thunder that echoes through the room, his words a bridge between tradition and reform, ensuring that change does not lead to confusion. Once prefect of the apostolic signatura, the highest canonical court in the Church, Mamberti now serves as Cardinal Protodeacon, delivering the pallium to Leo XIV. But his true power lies in interpretation, ensuring that the new papacy builds on rock, not sand, a mission that Pope Leo XIV has entrusted to him with unwavering faith. The scent of the parchment, old and musty, might linger in the air as he interprets canon law, his presence a quiet reminder of the Church's enduring mission to remain steadfast amidst change, a mission that ensures the papacy's reforms are rooted in the truth of Christ. What does it mean to ensure continuity in a time of reform? To bear the weight of tradition with a wisdom that guides the future, a wisdom that few will ever see. How might your own faith remain steadfast amidst change, building on the rock of Christ's truth with a wisdom that endures? A papacy is never a solitary mission. It is a sacred symphony where each instrument, bold or subtle, plays a vital role in the harmony of the Church's journey through modernity. The air in St. Peter's Square might carry the scent of incense and the quiet murmur of prayer as Pope Leo XIV stands on the balcony, his white cassock a symbol of his sacred calling. But behind him stand these 7 leaders, their influence a quiet undercurrent that shapes the next chapter of the Catholic Church. Cardinal Parolin's diplomacy, Tagle's evangelization, Gallagher's voice, Petrini's efficiency, Czerny's compassion, Paglia's ethics, and Mamberti's wisdom form a constellation of discernment, a foundation that ensures the Church walks faithfully through the fires of a fractured world, its mission rooted in the eternal truth of Christ. The scent of the incense, warm and sacred, might linger in the air as the faithful look to the future, their voices rising in a chorus of hope, a testament to the enduring power of faith in a world that hungers for light. What does it mean to be part of a sacred symphony, to play your role in a mission that transcends time, a mission that shapes the future with the quiet strength of faith? As Jesus declares, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others." Matthew 5:14-16. What might happen if you let your light shine, contributing to the symphony of faith that guides the world toward the eternal truth of Christ?